ready to rock. It is time now for our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report. We do it every week here with the man, the myth, the legend that is Manny Navarro from The Athletic. You can follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro, of course. There it is. Yes, it is. And, of course, go to Caneswear, 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and follow my man on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Manny, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very good. So, did you enjoy yourself over at Marlins Park? I thought it was a great vibe, dude. 17,000 people. That's a lot.
Yeah, a lot more than the 16 USA Today said were made up the fan base, right? That was their little joke of the Marlins. Look, man, there's a lot of people who care about baseball, and I think, just haven't had the right ownership group, haven't had the people in charge to keep these players around, keep the interest there. It's hard to be a fan when you got to root for new players every other year. And I think Derek Jeter and company are trying to do it the right way. They're trying to build it from the foundation, which is the minor leagues, and having a strong minor league system. And I hope they do well, man, because it's been a long time since baseball in this town was relevant, and I hope that they can start getting this thing going in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Anyway,
You laugh.
I got Bill freaking out on a text I got. Anyway, so yeah, I just can't share it, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway. So, anyway, Ed Reed came out a couple days ago and kind of defined his role. Go over that and your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Ed talked about the fact that, this is, yes, he's got a lot of passion for the program, and yes, he's going to be around to help Manny Diaz, and he's got a job, but he's at the same time, as we discussed in the past, anytime you got a guy like Ed Reed, who's a Hall of Famer, a guy who has so many other interests besides sports, like kids and his foundation and everything else, those things at times are going to take precedence. So I think, for people to expect that he's going to be at Miami, 365 days a year, it's foolish. Guys like him, any special advisors, guys that are there in an advisory type role, they go back to their families, they go back and do what they have to do, and then they come around and give their opinion when it's necessary. And I think that's more of what the job's going to be. And when he was first hired, you asked me a week ago, what's his role going to be? I told you, we're going to have to see, because ultimately, those kind of guys have busy lives and they have other things that they do. So, look, the bottom line is to have him around in any capacity to help your program and to have an influence. It's a positive for Miami. And, we can sit here and debate, well, is that the kind of guy you want for a chief of staff? Miami didn't even have a chief of staff last year. So to sit here and say, that's not good enough for chief of staff, they really haven't had that position used before at all. So who's to say the way that it needs to be defined? I think the bottom line is if Ed Reed can help to make the program better, you take it and you take whatever you can get.
Yeah. Although I think some people are wondering, well, is he going to be like a Bill Parcells or something? You know what I'm saying? Just kind of
exactly what I was thinking. Saratoga.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, right. Are you just hanging out here and not really, committed to it? You know what I'm saying?
No, I think. Look, I think where Ed is going to help you behind the scenes in the film room, right? And when those kids are sitting down. He's going to show up for Cleveland. This guy's going to be there when the defense is putting their game plan in. That's what those guys do, right? And so he's going to be there to give his opinion and his thoughts. He's going to be there to help influence kids when they're being recruited, because he can recruit through the phone and when the kids visit campus. He's going to be there to tell Manny Diaz, weigh in and have his opinion valued whenever there's some sort of big debate that comes up. Look, the bottom line is he doesn't have to be there 365 days a year because that's what the coaches get paid to do. The athletic director isn't going into the football office every single day. He's dealing with problems on other fronts as well, in other sports. So, to me, look, the bottom line is the head coach and the assistant coaches, his staff, those are the guys who really run the program. Ed's going to be in an influential analyst type role, and to me, anything you get out of him is great, in my opinion. It's a bonus.
Recruiting wise, what's the latest, Manny?
Well, the class of 2021 was so long from now. I know everybody gets all excited, like, oh man, we let's see who they get in 2021. Dude, none of these guys are going to sign until the third week of December. I mean, we've got a long, long time from now until then. And if you go back and you look, and you just look at history and what happened, I mean, the perfect example is just Avante Williams. He was committed to Miami years ago. I mean, he loved Miami, right? In the beginning, he was committed, I think, as a 9th or 10th grader. Decommitted, went to Oregon. Then at the last minute, literally at the last minute, when everybody thinks he's going to Florida, he comes back to Miami. So to me, it's like it's a perfect example of why you can't live and die on these kids' words every single day, because they're going to flip their minds 1,000 times. They're going to visit this school, and they're going to fall in love with that school, and then they're going to commit to that school, and then they're going to decommit from that. I mean, this whole process of recruiting, you can drive yourself crazy if you follow it on a day-to-day basis, because it's a drama. It's high school drama, and in the end, what's going to matter most for Manny Diaz is what they do this season. If they come out and they have a great year, and the other team lights it up, I mean, it doesn't matter who these other kids are committed to right now. If Miami becomes the hot ticket again, it's going to be just like it was under Mark Richt a few years ago when they were 10-0 and number 2 in the country. I mean, they had a top 10 recruiting class that year because everybody believed the program was headed in the right direction. Whereas the opposite happened the last couple of years, right? Where everybody's like, okay, they're going to be good, they're going to turn this around, and then they go out there and they stink it up in the recruiting class. You're like, and Manny in the end was able to save this last recruiting class in 2020. I think in large part because he had some kids who really believed in him and really wanted to be quote unquote part of the change. But I don't think that's going to fly this year. I think he's got to win games. He's got to go out and perform. That first year grace period where everybody's buying into the new head coach, that's over and done with. Miami has to have a good season or this next recruiting class is going to suck. That's the bottom line.
All right, I'm with you. What did you like about Lashley and what he said and how he was talking about how he's going to approach this?
Well, what I like about Lashley is, first of all, the guy's taught by one of the best offensive minds. I mean, he played for the guy in high school. He was his quarterback, Gus Malzahn. Malzahn's had, when you look at these systems, right, these spread, high-octane, no-huddle systems, to me, it's about how many plays you get off, how quickly you get back to the line of scrimmage, how you can tire out that defense. And that's just a strategy that you need to be successful. Because in the end, those big-bodied linemen, if you line up and you try to do what Miami did last year, which was, hey, our offensive line against your defensive line, I mean, you saw how that worked out for Miami. They got their butts whipped. So to me, being in this shotgun system, this no-huddle system where you got a guy like Derek King all of a sudden, where he's arguably, he could be the fastest guy on the team, dude. I haven't seen what his 40 time is, but just watching film and how explosive he is, I mean, your fastest guy could end up being your quarterback. And to have that all of a sudden be part of your offense, part of your threat system, where, he's going to be running, RPO and taking off and running or firing about 50 yards down the field. I mean, that's a weapon that Miami has never had before. And I think Brett Lashley, being at Auburn, having some good quarterbacks who are just like Derek King, having that experience, and then going to a few other schools, going to SMU and pairing that up with the air raid system that Sonny Dykes runs. It's going to be interesting. I mean, to me, this next season, I mean, Brett Lashley could be here just for 1 year where this offense blows up with Derek King and all of a sudden this guy's got a head coaching job somewhere because of it. So it'll be interesting. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a smart coach. And it seems like a guy who really knows his direction and what he wants to do. And he's not sitting there saying, hey, I think, or we hope we can do this. No, he's pretty confident in who he is and his system and what he's going to do. And so I think Miami's going to have a good year.
Derek King, are we putting I guess to a certain extent we gotta, but I almost feel like we're expecting him to become the savior of the team, and that might be a little unfair too. But what do you think?
Sure. I mean, listen, the expectations are certainly high. I've been doing my research, man. I'm a stats and analytics guy myself too, and I like to look back in history. And Miami, when they were quarterback U, right, when they had Jim Kelly and Bernie Kosar and Vinny Testaverde and Gino and Steve Walsh and all of those guys where they were successful in their glory years. I mean, for 22 years, they had a quarterback rated in the top 20 in passer efficiency. Since 2003, they've only had one quarterback, one ranked in the top 20 in quarterback efficiency. That was Ja'Cory Harris in 2011. So you talk about why this program has fallen off. It's the quarterback play. And De'Aaron King, the last time he was a full-time starter in college football, was number 6 in quarterback efficiency back in 2018. I mean, he's that good of a guy, of a passer. It's not just a guy who runs, but a guy who is accurate, who doesn't turn the ball over, who makes smart decisions. Yes, it's going to be a tougher schedule than what he faced at Houston. There's no doubt. When you're a Group of 5 school, the level of talent that you go against, I know ACC gets knocked all the time. A lot of these guys in the ACC still get drafted and end up in the NFL. That isn't necessarily the case in the AAC. He doesn't see as much talent collectively week to week. That said, to me, he's still a guy, when you look at his numbers and what he does, his decision making. He's a very good decision maker. He doesn't put the ball in windows where it doesn't have to go. Because I think a lot of times he figures I can just take off and run and get 5, 6, 7 yards and make a positive play out of this. I don't need to throw it every single time. And, that's a big difference from what you had last year with Jaron Williams, where a lot of times the offensive line's falling apart, they can't protect him, and the guy couldn't evade anybody. And Nakosi Perry was better at it than he was, at escaping the pocket when things broke down. This kid is 20 times faster than Nakosi Perry. De'Aaron King is very much kind of like a Kyler Murray type quarterback. Kyler Murray obviously did some special things at Oklahoma. But to me, it's not unfair to think that De'Aaron King should be a top 20 quarterback when it comes to efficiency and playmaking ability. He is the real deal, and there's people across college football who think he's going to have a really good year this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, it looks like he's got all the goods in order to be that guy. I just kind of feel bad for him to a certain extent because it's very Russell Wilson-like. That, he leaves NC State and then goes to Wisconsin, and obviously they went to the Rose Bowl, which was great, but it's almost, we're asking this kid to come into, a new scheme and then new players and get to know everything and it fall in place. And we also know that the offseason, they don't have as many hours as they really need in order to develop that kind of chemistry. So I'm just nervous for the kid, as talented as he is, as much as he's accomplished. I hate that we're putting the weight of the world on him. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's fair. I understand. I mean, nobody should ever have that much pressure on him. But I will say this: you said new scheme. It really isn't. It really isn't. And I think that's a big reason why he's here, because he basically sat down with Lashley and asked him, what am I going to be running? And Lashley told him it's exactly what you were doing in Houston. In 2018, that we're going to run that same type of offense, that same type of scheme. We're going to expect the same things from you in terms of decision making and what you do, when to take off and run, etc. So, I mean, I think that's a big reason why De'Aaron King is here, because there is a comfort level with the system and what Miami is going to run. And Lashley reached out, to the coordinator who was there, the guy who just got let go of FSU. Why am I forgetting his name? He's the son of the Baylor coach who was fired.
Yes.
Briles,
yes.
Yeah. So he reached out to Kendall Briles when they were recruiting De'Aaron King to basically ask him, hey, these are my questions about the offense. So, look, man, all of these guys in the end in the coaching industry, they know, they see what the other guys are doing. And I think what Rhett Lashley is going to do is he's going to tailor his offense around De'Aaron King and his strengths so that the system works out well. So to me, this system is set up very much in favor of De'Aaron King to have a lot of success. The bigger question I have is, does Miami have the wide receiver talent? Do they have the guys ready to deliver and be the big-time playmakers that they need them to be? That's a bigger question, I think, than De'Aaron King.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up. That, okay, we're going to run exactly what you were playing, De'Aaron, but do the Canes have exactly the talent you need in order to run this kind of an offense? Because unlike the NFL, you just don't turn over talent that quickly in college.
No, you don't. And you look at the receiver position and the guys that you lose. You're losing Osborne. You're losing Jeff Thomas. Those are your number one and number two receivers, really. And you go back, you look at D. Wiggins. He had moments where he flashed against Florida State, and then games against FIU where the ball's bouncing off his chest and getting picked, and he's not getting into the position he needs to catch balls. Mark Pope at times flashed. He was great against FAMU. He caught a couple of deep balls, and he thought, wow, Mark Pope's going to take off now, and then he gets hurt, and he's never really the same again. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have to prove it at the receiver position. Mike Hardy's a solid slot receiver, but he doesn't have a whole bunch of explosive plays. There's not many times he gets away from the defense. So I think everybody's sort of looking at some of the younger guys that Miami recruited at that position. Peyton, the kid that they recruited last year, was the number one recruit in the 2019 class. He's a guy that I've heard a lot of teammates, say, look, he was absolutely blowing up on the scout team. He was tough to cover for our, number one and number two corners on this team last year. And I think there's a lot of high expectations for him as well as the freshmen that they recruited. So, look, somebody's going to emerge. I think Yerrick King, what he does is he buys time for these receivers to get open because he will be scrambling. We know that's what the gift is now, right, in the NFL. When you look at Lamar Jackson and, Kyler Murray, I mean, those guys, their gift is when things break down, they buy time and they find receivers open downfield. I think Miami's got guys that can do that. What I want to see more out of Miami's receivers is physicality and being able to get off the line of scrimmage, get open, create a space where you don't need your quarterback to do that. But we'll see. We'll see how this new offensive staff teaches these guys and what they teach them and if they get better. Because there's no doubt they have to get better. There's not enough coming back in terms of experience that you feel good about.
Yeah. One thing, Manny, that I got to disagree with you, and I think we got to adjust here. We can't call Jeff Thomas a loss.
Well, no.
You're somebody that is when you're unreliable, you're not missed whatsoever. Jeff Thomas was just a body taking up a scholarship. He's not a loss. KJ Osborne, that's a loss. Wiggins is gone too. You said, right? Is it Wiggins?
No, Wiggins is back.
We see he would be a loss. You know what I'm saying? Jeff Thomas is a blessing that he's gone. Seriously. I mean, seriously.
Well, you certainly needed some guys out of here for what Manny talks about culture and all that. No doubt.
Yes. And I think Manny himself probably regretted, he was probably between his teeth, cringing his teeth, going, "Oh, why did I call this guy back? He must have regretted going through the hassle of bringing Jeff Thomas back. He never got anything out of Jeff Thomas that he really wanted. None of us saw what we really should have seen from Jeff Thomas. That's why I was laughing the other day when I saw his tweet about, going to the NFL and can't wait. And then I was like, kid, you don't have the work ethic to be in the NFL. You're not going to last 5 minutes in the NFL if you're the same Jeff Thomas that was in Coral Gables.
You're right. He's got a lot to prove. And, it's funny. One thing I tweeted late last week was the eight guys from Miami who were going to the combine among the 337 who got invites, and Jeff is among that group. So, to me, obviously, the NFL is intrigued by a guy like Jeff Thomas, right?
Yeah.
They want to see what he's got, but he's got a lot to prove there.
Yeah, exactly. But he's the kind of guy that they say, oh, super talented. I'll take him at the end of the draft because he's super talented, but he's a knucklehead. So I know he's not, and that's the kind of kid that when you sit with him at the combine, you just think con artist. He's lying to me. I know what he's done his whole career, but you're super talented, so we'll take you later on, and that's it. It's kind of like the Florida kid that fell to the first round, and then the Browns had to end up cutting him because he's such a knucklehead. It's just
Callaway.
Yeah, exactly. And that guy's a first round talent, and Jeff Thomas is a guy that probably should have been, maybe, second day somewhere in that second, third round is probably where he should have gone if he would have played to his ability. And no, man, this guy will be a late third day guy, but they'll take him because they'll say, okay, no, super talented knucklehead. Let's see if we can work with him. That's it. That's the way they're going to look at it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, again, look, you talk about 8 guys getting the invite to the combine. I know Miami fans, they love to sit there and say, man, look at all the guys we're sending to the NFL. I want to remind them over and over again, the quality of players at Miami compared to the glory days is not even close. And that's the thing. I think they just look at the number. Oh, look, 8 guys. I mean, it should have been great. Well, no. I mean, just because a guy gets an invite to the combine doesn't mean he's getting drafted A. And B, it doesn't mean the talent is anywhere near.
That's right.
I mean, what it should be.
That's right. You're right. Tell them about the Wide Right podcast before you go, my man.
Yeah, definitely. If you haven't downloaded it yet, I've gotten a lot more followers thanks to you, and everybody else helping put it out there. But the Wide Right podcast, available to download off of iTunes, or if you get a subscription to The Athletic, it's available there as well. I have Kelvin Harris, who I know you've had on the show a few times yourself. Kelvin won 3 national championships at Miami as an offensive center, 87, 89, and 91. He comes on with me quite a bit. My producer, Mike Zimmerman, is a diehard Canes fan. So there's times Mike messages me in the middle of the day where he's like, "Hey, man, did you hear this?" I'm like, "No, I didn't hear this. Where'd you get this from?" He is all over it on the internet all the time. I call him my Canes insider because of how hard he works at finding information. So we have a good little conversation on the podcast. I want people to check that out and to make sure to get a subscription to The Athletic, man. It's only $4 a month.
There you go. And follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. And you have to, of course, subscribe to The Athletic. Manny, as always, my brother, thank you for taking some time. We really appreciate it.
No problem. We'll take care, buddy.
You got it, baby. There you go. The great Manny Navarro and our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report, 2511 South University Drive in Davie. Go see Brett and all the amazing people out there. You can get some great stuff. You're going to love that place. It's so addicting. Really is. They got so many great items over at Caneswear. And not just Canes. Dolphins, Heat, Panthers, Marlins, Inter Miami. They got a lot of Inter Miami stuff, which is really, really cool. And they'll have the jerseys very shortly, too.